Hello, this is Joe from Model Shark Studio. In this video we're going to show you how to combine ProTips with a trigger collider to make a tooltip appear over an NPC's head when a player gets close to him. The tooltip will rotate to face the player, and when the player leaves the trigger area, the tooltip will also be hidden. So let's get started. So here in my scene I have my first-person controller that the player will control, and then I have my construction worker model that will act as the NPC. What we need to do is put the tooltip over the construction worker. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is go to Window, ProTips, Quick Setup. This is going to give us the Tooltip Manager. And for this particular task, we're going to disable overflow protection because we don't want the tooltips to try to flip themselves when they're out of bounds on the canvas. The next thing we need to do is create a canvas on our construction worker, and that's going to be the container for the tooltip that will go over his head. So I'm going to create a canvas, and I'm going to set it to world space and zero out its position and its rotation. And then I need to scale it down and position it so that it's over his head, just roughly. And it doesn't really matter about the canvas size. Since we turned off the tooltip overflow protection, it won't try to resize them if the tooltips are out of bounds. Now I'm going to put a tooltip trigger element inside the canvas, and this is what the tooltip is going to position itself to. I'm just going to use a panel, hit T, and then just move it down, make it smaller. And this will be the tooltip origin. And this is where we'll actually put the tooltip. So next up, I will put the tooltip trigger and find one of the tooltip styles in the tooltip prefabs. And then I'll type the text in that I want. And we're going to select that this stays open because we're going to close it manually with a script. And lastly, we're going to put this TooltipCollider trigger script onto the construction worker. And this script just has, it handles all of the on trigger enter, on trigger exit. It's going to show the tooltip if it's a player who enters the trigger. And when the player exits, it's going to hide the tooltip. Pretty simple. It just requires a collider on it, or with it, and that needs to be a trigger collider. So I'm going to go back over here and put this on my construction worker, and this is telling me that I need a collider on there. So first I'm going to put a bots collider, and I'm going to set it to trigger. And then drag my script there. And we need to set up a player, or we need to specify the player camera. That's going to be on my first person controller. So if we go look over here, I have a camera on my first person controller. It's this main camera. I'm going to drag that over here, and then the trigger, that's the tooltip trigger. That's where we're going to actually pop the trigger up. That's going to be this tooltip origin. Our bots collider for our trigger area is a bit small, so we're going to size that up a little. I'm just going to make it an 8 by 8 area. So that's pretty big. And now we should be able to test. Okay, as you can see, I have the tooltip position wrong. It looks like it's in the lower left. I've added a new tooltip position just for this. So if we look at our tooltip origin, we can now set it to top middle. Looks pretty good. Try it again. And there we go. So you can see the little image. The tooltip is right above it. And it also rotates. That's part of the script. It just rotates the canvas that the tooltip is on to match the player's camera. That's why you have to specify that player camera. And then we back out. It goes away. Cool. So the last thing we can do to make it look better, and we don't actually need the image on this thing, we just need it as a visual aid. So I'm just going to disable the image, or you could just remove it. And now when we run it, there we go. I hope this has been helpful for you, and thanks for watching.